be a real game changer. As I said, increased building costs, climate change agenda. So again, everyone's now looking for highly insulated properties, SOC pumps, PVs. You know, in terms of the planning element, if we're looking at residential, we've got to look at the affordable housing provision, public open space. And again, bring that together with a challenging site and increased costs, and it does become a challenging market. So again, many of you will recognise this image from the last conference. It's our first site. We are now on site with the former nurses' home. Again, an existing building that has been reused and reimagined. It wasn't a registered building, but we kind of considered it to be one and knew that it probably would jump to the top of the list if we proposed to knock it down. And actually, you know, it's a real important building for us. We're on site with it now. It's providing 21 bed apartments, 17 two-bedroom commercial units. It'll be the first BREEAM refurb building on the Isle of Man. And for those who don't know what BREEAM is, that's an environmental assessment method which covers a number of different criteria around energy efficiency, well-being, ecology, all these kind of things. And that's currently on target for a very good rating. And the reuse of this existing building, one of the reasons NPC was set up was to be a catalyst and enabler for regeneration. We hope that this will be the first of a larger development that we've got currently in with the planners, and it will be that catalyst for wider regeneration within that area of the city. Just put on some pictures here of the actual progress on site, so you can see how the internals have been stripped back to the bare structure, and we're currently in the process of rebuilding back now. The top floor has been removed due to the condition of it, and we're building back with new construction with a view to sticking the additional story on, which will be the glassy structure that was shown in the original slide. So as outlined, we are currently in for planning on what we're calling Westmoreland Village. The government obviously own the nurses' home building, which is the kind of bottom left-hand corner of the red outlined area. In the top of that red outlined area, we have Crookall House, and to the right of that is the old Ballantyne School that's now been demolished. When we saw the buildings that we were asked to have a look at, and the areas we were asked to have a look at, we thought this was an ideal opportunity to actually have a big impact and create a community and placemaking within the Westmoreland Road area. So we have subsequently looked to purchase the private lands and effectively undertake a site assembly so that we have the site that we're showing here in red. And we're currently, as we said, progressed with a planning application for that site. The principles in terms of the design for that project were what's called the 20-minute neighbourhood. It's endorsed by the Town and Country Planning Association, but it basically covers a number of things: so diverse and affordable housing, improvement in physical health, reduced traffic, and improved active travel, improved air quality, benefits to climate change, and encourages placemaking. And effectively, the principles are that you can access everything you need to from a work, where you live, where you play, within a 10-minute walk, that's out and back. These principles have been adopted, and contrary to popular belief, we're not creating a wall that we then lock people into this village. It's still an open area, but it covers all of these elements, right down to the fact that we've got some elements of areas where you can grow your own food. So this was the principle and the design principles that we worked to, and this is the solution that we came up with. We have the nurses' home just outlined in white to the left of the image on the screen. B1 and C1 at the bottom of the screen, they go onto Domain Road, and they are a combination of 1 and 2 bed apartments with residential units on the ground floor. B2, B3, and C2 and C3 are 3-bed townhouses. D1, if you can see it, where Jane Crookall is, currently it's being operated as office this room may well have been born there when it was an maternity home, myself included, which was strange for a site visit that had been there 43 years ago, but didn't really recognise the place. But we're going to convert that back into offices, but high-spec office. There'll be additional storey added, and it will be modernised, improved in terms of its energy efficiency, and that will be, a key part of the concept in terms of the working environment. To the left of that building, there'll be a village green created, and in block F1, there will be a re-provided Scouts hut, which will become a kind of community pavilion that people will be able to rent from the Scouts when they're obviously not using it. The Scouts have been on that site since 1919, so again, it's important that these places actually provide things for the community, and we saw it being a real key part of the scheme. Block E1 is a senior living block. It's 1 and 2 bed apartments, and that's been provided as part of our affordable housing provision. So this is the 3D of the area. It shows the Jane Cook Hall in the far of the picture, with the nurses' home at the bottom, at the junction of Domain Road and Westmoreland Road. So as I said, it's providing a number of mixed tenure housing. So we've got 1 and 2 bed apartments and 3 bed townhouses. We've got commercial space, so again, we're creating the office. It will be the first, it's called NABERS, which is an alternative building assessment method specifically relating to offices, and it actually monitors the energy usage on a yearly basis, and that rating for that building can improve over time. So it's a constant assessment method that we undertake on a yearly basis. As we said, we've got 4 retail units on Domain Road. Again, there will be small units that can be rented and provide amenities for the area. We've got the community pavilion, and then linking through all of the village, we've got pocket parks, high quality landscaping, parking, increased cycle parking, and that improved connectivity to make active travel and the provision thereof a real positive opportunity within the area. So these are some of the images that we provided as part of our planning submission. So we've got the 3 bed townhouses with the landscaping around. The image to the right-hand side is the blocks along Domain Road, and in terms of their massing, they're in a similar scale to the nurses' home at the bottom of Domain Road and on Westmoreland Road. So you've got the 1 and 2 bed apartments above the retail unit. As outlined, the Jane will be thermally improved by hacking off the current render that's there and thermally insulating that building. There'll be an additional storey added on for additional office space, and again that will be to a high quality. And then you've got some further 3 bed townhouses which all have dedicated off-street parking. The village green that's created actually retains a number of trees that are already in the area. There's a number of registered trees that we obviously have to retain, and where possible we've tried to retain as many others as we can do. And we've got the Scout up there, again a great facility that will be at the heart of this new community. So that's the kind of Westmoreland Road area. We've also got the nurses' home on site and underway. The others currently going through the planning process, but we have been looking at some other elements. There's been announcements today around kind of the island infrastructure scheme, and as part of kind of link into that, we have been undertaking some investigations and surveys on the feasibilities around the Parade Street car park site. We're currently in the early stages of the design process for that, for a multi-use development on the site. All of that is in line with the approved master plan for Lower Douglas and the area plan for the east. And within the next month or so, we will be out for public consultation, and we'll be sharing our vision for that site and welcoming feedback, again, following that public consultation process. Summerland, possibly the most famous brownfield site on the Isle of Man, has been empty for a number of years. So as outlined in some of the presentations earlier, we have undertaken some surveys on Summerland to understand its risks and what needs to be undertaken. As you'll be aware, there's a number of complexities around that site, and the next steps in terms of any redevelopment are still to be determined and we work through with our steering group, the BRSG. So following on from that, for any kind of future plans, there was a number of schemes that we'll be looking to undertake in terms of surveys and feasibilities to hopefully unlock further brownfield sites. I think it's worth at this point outlining actually the time that some of these things actually do take. If you're looking at a project that may well take 3 years on site to build, in some instances you might be 3 years in the pre-construction. So these things we don't suddenly get given a site and turn up the next day with a machine. I think in terms of trying to manage that, de-risk it, understand the sites, understand what the risks are, survey and unlock those sites. It does take some time, but again, there'll be further master plans and surveying work that will get undertaken. As part of that, once we get to a point where we feel it is feasible, we'll undertake extensive stakeholder engagement, both with the statutory consultees through planning, the public, and all the other kind of users of any of the proposed buildings. And we'll be proactively addressing the needs for the max population and trying to deliver a return for the Isle of Man. So, you know, as we are part of Treasury, there's a return in terms of financial, and you know, all of our schemes are backed up by business cases in terms of making a financial return, but also in terms of social and environmental benefits. They're all kind of underpinned by those principles. So hopefully, this time next year at next year's conference, we'll be sharing some further exciting kind of schemes that we'll be looking to move forward with.